We call the Plaquemines Parish Council meeting to order for March the 26th, regularly scheduled meeting at 1 o'clock. The machine is open for roll call. Let the record reflect that all council members are present. Parish President Cormier and his staff are here. And at this time, I would ask everyone to please turn off your phones or turn them on silent. And we'll begin with a prayer led by Ms. Williams.
Acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for this parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom, and we pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We also pray that this government body, comprised of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all. And as this government body gathers here today, we pray for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do which is right.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't, I think that's mine. We all.
Yeah, that's what I think you have his, and then yours is the, Barb's got one by her.
Yeah, that's mine. What would the port?
There's no port meeting. At this time, we have executive session scheduled, but we're going to pass over that at this time. We'll move to proclamations.
A proclamation declaring March 26, 2015 as National Relief Network Day in the parish of Plaquemines.
I'll offer an ask for unanimous second. Without objection. This time we'll ask Ms. Williams, please come up. Ms. Kimball.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angele Kimball Rogers. I wear several different hats in the parish. Many of you know me as a FEMA Voluntary Agency Liaison, but I'm also doing some work with the Committee for Plaquemines Recovery and working closely with them both since Hurricane Katrina all the way through Hurricane Isaac. And so the proclamation today is a nonprofit organization that we have partnered with over the years since Hurricane Isaac. They've been doing a lot of work under Hurricane Katrina in the 9th Ward in the New Orleans area. And when Hurricane Isaac hit, they came through with volunteers and have been gutting and demoing houses by hand. The majority of their volunteers are high school and college students. And so this is almost their 3rd year of coming down. And so I just hope that the parish will recognize them for their work. They are bringing volunteers in this weekend and will be here for the majority of the week. The volunteers that are coming in will be working with the health department to cut grass in Braithwaite Park for those people that are being fined. And so they're just do-gooders at this point. And so I just think it would be a great opportunity for us to recognize them for their hard work. So I'd like to introduce Mary Skelnick. She is our point of contact and the director for this area.
Thank you. I just would like to thank you for allowing us to come in and help in the area. We do disaster relief across the country. Anything from New Jersey across to California after forest fires and hurricanes and things like that, floods. And it's been our absolute pleasure to come down here and work with so many wonderful families in the area. Our volunteers speak highly of the people that they have met down here and look forward to come back year after year. And it goes without saying, many hands make light work. And when you have as many volunteers that we're lucky enough to have, we can get a lot done in a short amount of time. So thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards.
Don't go anywhere. I just want to say we have a lot of volunteers that came to Plaquemines Parish, But it's remarkable when you see this lady out, this kid, with a rope, tearing down houses, pulling them down, using ropes and chains at the back of a truck. And they work tirelessly, I could say, up and down the east bank of the river. I mean, we have had a lot of volunteers, but she don't like to pat herself on the back. But this lady has been relentless. She don't only supervise them, she work and she sweat. And so I just want to join in with Kimball and just thank you for all the work you've done, and we appreciate and we love you for what you're doing, and God continue to bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all of that effort. It is a true statement that many, many volunteers have come, and your efforts have been well appreciated, and continuing efforts are even more appreciated because a lot of people have come and gone, but you're still here. So we thank you for that. And after the meeting, we'd like you to have a photo op with all of us, and we'll do that as soon as we adjourn. Okay?
Thank you.
At this time, any comments or questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, again, from the bottom of our hearts, people really of the parish appreciate your efforts. It's been a hardship and a burden on them psychologically, and of course to come as an administration and to try and allow them to pay for this, in other words, with your help, in other words, with the volunteer efforts, this is a great asset to our parish, especially under the constraints that we are with the budget right now. And so thank you so much.
You're entirely welcome.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? Or hearing none, we have the machine open, and we'll take that photo op after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Machine is open. Open machine. And the proclamation is adopted 9-0 unanimously. Thank you all. We move to status report by the parish president.
Mr. Chairman, I had the privilege yesterday of giving a State of the Parish Affairs to Pa B, and at that particular meeting, what I addressed was the future budget of the parish, and what I, as the parish president, am recommending to the council to look at the adjustments that we have to make. This year's budget, as you know, is probably under control, but next year's budget, we don't have anything where we can cut. And so with the previous administration having put into the budget about the $700,000 increase in water rates, that if we don't put it in, we would have to take out another $700,000 out of the budget. So with that knowledge, what I'm recommending is that we make adjustments with the water and sewer rates, that we make adjustments with the ferry rates and passes, that we continue to make adjustments in the marinas with the electricity and water, with the permit rates, 911 rates, and also we have to explore the vehicle usage in the parish. Also, the dog vaccinations, although I know that we're going to get a lot of barking about that, that is another thing we have to look at. So having that in mind, we need to have some public meetings to get the public's input, but these things that we are recommending are things that we are trying to do to work with the council to make sure that we do not have people in the parish that are going to lose their jobs. And so by making these adjustments, hopefully that will guarantee that we can continue to keep the workforce intact and make the adjustments that are just necessary, in my opinion, at this time. Thank you.
Any comments or questions?
I have a question for the president.
Councilman Edgecombe.
Coach, on the issue, we have a lot of our constituents in our districts on the lower end asking if we're still going to be doing the culverts as we had been doing in the past, as far as if the constituent or homeowner furnishes the culvert, the material with the parish remove and replace their culverts.
Yes, we are aware of that situation, and we're checking with legal just to make sure that we're not out of bounds, shall we say, as to what direction we can go in as far as helping them with those particular items.
Okay, what about as far as if someone clears off their property, residential property, is the parish still going to pick up the trash if it's pushed to the road by the homeowner and our contractor, or just from the homeowner?
Again, that's one of the things that I would address with the legal people. We want to make sure that whatever we do, we're trying to help the people as much as possible, but we don't want it to come back and bite us as to doing something that would be illegal.
Okay. And also, my last question, the names on the sign by the Popish building, where the councilmen, my colleagues' names are posted, they could be put up there, or what's the status on that?
Oh, whatever you'd like. I know my name wasn't even put up there, and I never even addressed the situation until some people came to me and mentioned it, say, hey, your name's not up there, that you should take the
Right.
name of the previous president. And so,
asking us what,
yeah, it's just something that, whatever the council wishes on that, we'll put any names that you'd like. I guess I would refer that to our Director of Administration, and we'll try and make that adjustment as to public relations and whatever we have to do to make sure that everybody's noticed. And I would like to say that I appreciated yesterday Mr. Roussel, the chairman, and Mr. Black for being in attendance at the PABI meeting, because that's the kind of communications that we need with all of the organizations in the parish.
Mr. Warren.
Warren Lawrence, 120 Timber Canal Lane, Middle Grove. One question I had for the president was on the water rate increase and everything. I know they say there's going to be public hearing and everything. Is the rate increase going to go ahead and be voted on and increased before the public hearing, or is it going to wait on the public hearing to have input on the amount it's raised, and in proportion, is the refuse and everything still stuck with the 25% rate, or is this going to be discussed at the public hearing and then come back? Last meeting we had a presentation by Water Company of America, and I don't know if there's any status on that. I didn't hear anything on it, and I'm just questioning that if we're going to do a rate increase, is it going to be voted on today for a rate increase without the public hearing and follow with a public hearing, or does the public hearings come first? Thank you.
I'll defer that to Councilman Edgecombe, whose ordinance it is, but and then I'll have a comment. Mr. Edgecombe?
I'm sorry, Mr. Roussel, did I answer on something?
The question is that the ordinance on the table today, will it be voted on before we have public hearings on the water rate increases, or will we have the public hearings first?
No, sir, we're going to have the public hearing. We're going to have the public hearings actually to be open for discussion today. I think some people with severe interest here to talk about it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. But it will not be brought to a vote until we have town hall meetings, West Bank, East Bank, North and South. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Lawrence, that was a recommendation of the council in their wisdom that we would not do anything until we had these public meetings, and we would try to address with a consolidated meeting in the Belchase area with some of the districts there, and also on the Buras, Venice area, Port Sulphur, to see whether or not we have to split them up. Now, next week I have to go to a conference in Austin for hurricanes, and I don't know why they're having a hurricane conference in Austin, but having said that, when I come back, hopefully we can get those other meetings scheduled. We've already met with the people on the East Bank. Mr. Bartholomew had a meeting the other night, and we addressed that situation.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. In an effort to save time today, since we're on this item, is it appropriate that we move to your item? At this time, we'll move to Councilman Edgecombe's item. Which item is that, Mr. Edgecombe?
Yeah.
6-2. 682. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. An ordinance authorizing and directing the parish president to have the administration take all the necessary steps to institute an across-the-board increase in the fees for water, sewage, and solid waste collection, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilman Edgecombe offers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Williams for discussion.
Mr. Robert Morgan. If I'm not mistaken, we recently talked about the leakage, the issues that we have with the water system, waterworks.
Yes, sir.
And I think the question is, some of my colleagues, we were talking this week, is there any way y'all could help as far as, or do more than what's being expected right now to find leaks, to see what the issues are and try to fix them?
Yes, sir.
Whereas we don't have to hire an additional company to come in and...
Yes, sir. Actually,
Before you go forward, let's lay a little groundwork for the discussion, because for many, many months, if not years, Mr. Lawrence has been coming to the table asking for how much water we produce and how much we waste, or we lose, whatever it's decided to be. And so as a result of that, you and your company provided us with a list to show that we were losing approximately average 50% of the water that we make, we're not billing for. So that answer has been given, and I hope you have a copy of it, Mr. Lawrence. So with that knowledge, now we're asking you as the contractor to see what you can do, as Mr. Edgecombe just alluded to.
Yes, sir. Actually, yesterday, myself, Mr. Giles, and Mr. President, we actually had a meeting with the Navy base, and Angie with billing. I'm not sure if she's here, but we actually have been doing that as we speak. We're actually changing out 2-inch water meters. She's finding stuff that was from, actually today we found an account that was from '96 that hasn't been charged for sewer rates. So we're going back and, she actually going back in the records and making that correction, you know. My thing with the company, an American Water Company, like I brought to Mr. Giles, I think it's best for us to do it in-house first to see what we can find instead of having something out. With the new council and the new administration, that it has been a focus now. It wasn't a focus in previous time, you know. So and Severn Trent is not a part of our contract, but we are more willing to help anything the parish would like us to do to capture this lost revenue. So we're actually, that's already in place right now. Mr. Giles and, like I said, myself and Angie with the water billing department, we are going back through all accounts, not just primarily big business accounts, but we're going through residential accounts too, the accounts that's not paying for water, the accounts that's getting free sewer. So that's something that we can do in-house at first. You know, I think that's my rationale is the best way to go, is do it in-house first instead of having a company come in and do it, you know. And the company that I met with, I don't think it'll be a one-time thing. This is an ongoing issue. It's not just you come in here and fix the issue. This stuff will happen from here on out. It happened in every water system. Normal water loss is from around 15 to 20%. But with the new rules from DHH and the EPA standards, we have to flush water hydrants. I know some of y'all have seen hydrants steady running. So that's water loss right there that's not being billed to keep up with the new standards. So that's water loss that the new company wouldn't find. You know, that's something that I can't tell you how much we have to waste every month because of the new standards. So to bring in a company that said we're just going to track the water loss, I don't see how you would do it. I don't see how they would do it, because we're steadily flushing. We're steadily flushing hydrants to meet the new standards. That's pretty much it.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilmember Thalamy.
Yeah, and whatever you find, we won't have to share that revenue.
Absolutely not.
Compared to what they find, we have to share the revenue.
Absolutely.
So that'll be a plus all the way around for the parish and the people of Plaquemines.
Yes, sir. It's no cost. It's not a part of our contract. I'm not asking for additional costs. I think it's something that just needs to be done, just a good relationship, building with the administration and the council. So it's nothing that we're charging extra. It's nothing that we're on the hook to do. It's something that needs to be done, and I'm more than happy to lend the guys to be able to get it done.
Thank you.
So it's our intention to see what improvements you can make in that loss record, and then we can revisit the issue if we need a contractor down the line. Is what you suggested?
Yes, sir. That's what I suggested. Just try it in-house first. I think we got more than enough capable people in-house on my side and the parish side to be able to get that number down. Like I said, you're going to have 15 to 20% loss in any water system just because you have leaks constantly. But with the new regulation and the flushing, there's no way to account for all of that. There's just no way, because Breakway is a perfect example. We have, I think, one resident in Breakway, but we still have to flush that line to keep that chlorine residual at 0.5. So we have, I want to say, 2 hydrants that runs 24/7. That's just water on the ground. We have to put it on the ground according to the DHH standards.
President.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to emphasize the fact that you had mentioned about the chlorination problem. If you could explain that to the people, where we have to have that water running because we have the dead-end lines, and we need actually a loop system to keep that chlorination evolving around the system, whereas with all the dead-end lines we have, we can't get the chlorine at the end of the lines, basically. Right?
Yes, sir. With the new standards, what actually happened a few years back in St. Bernard Parish, they had a brain-eating amoeba. And the brain-eating amoeba, I think it actually, a kid passed away in St. Bernard. St. John Baptist Parish just had this brain-eating amoeba, and they had to go through their water system. What was not told was Plaquemines Parish actually had this test was done down in Fort Jackson, and we passed the test, and that's because of the flushing. And we have to maintain 0.5. In previous years, we only had to maintain a 0.2, and a 0.5 milligrams per liter is pretty hard to do when you don't have any usage on the line. You have, like I said, we have one house in Breakaway where we have to flush the whole system just to be able to maintain that one house. We have some in Bohemia where we have to flush the whole system just to maintain one house. And it goes on from Port Sulphur to Belle Chase is pretty good because we have a lot of usage on that area. But if the area is not inhabited, the residents are not there, you maybe have three or four residents on 20 miles of pipe. So you have to flush that whole line out. So you have, when we flush that whole line out, we lose all that water. In the Navy base, actually, they lose a lot of water, but on the plus side of that, it actually goes through the meter, and they pay for it. On this side, we can't meter. We don't have to meter it because it's going through a hydrant, and we're losing that water, that production, the chemical costs. It's a big number of costs that we're losing just to meet those standards, to meet the cryptosporidium that we're passing that test.
Thank you, Robert, for that explanation to the people.
Let me ask you this, on the meters, on the hydrants that you're flushing, can you put a meter on there and find out how much you're flushing?
We could put a meter on that line to actually find out, but the cost of the meters would get you on the other end. We could do that just for internal audit purposes. We can do that, to put a meter on it. We can have automatic flushers too, you know. But I went the cheaper route and not putting any, just the usage wise.
Well, I guess the point is, if we're trying to find out where that 50% of the water that we make is going, if you can document it and tell us that 25% is going to flushing, 25% is going to broken lines, then we'll have the whole picture instead of having the unknowns.
Right.
So you might want to consider that as part of your plan.
I agree. I agree.
Any further comments or discussion on the item?
How long is it going to take to do this? I don't know if you want to call it a study. I don't know what you want to call it.
Well, it's an ongoing issue. This is something that is done every day. You know, new people move in, people move out. You have houses, new residents come in, new residents move out. This is not a. That's the main point I was getting at with the American. If you hire somebody to come in, and they said they're going to go and for this year they're going to tell you how much water loss you have. Well, in the next year, you need to have it redone all together. This is an ongoing issue every year, every day of the year. This is nothing that you can say, dictate this year, I want to have 10% water loss. It's not going to happen that way. It's an ongoing issue. It's nothing that I can fix today and I never have to worry about it again. It's nothing like that.
Well, the point I'm making is similar to what you were saying, Benny. If we got a water loss, but then we want to raise the rates on people, we need to know exactly how much we need to raise it. I mean, just a sky and a pie blue figure, I don't think that's going to cut it, man. We need to get this kind of exact for people to understand. Just throwing out a figure here, I don't think people are going to go for that, man. We need to do our homework a little bit more diligently so people can understand. We need a rate increase, first of all, because of 50% of water loss, and you got a $700,000 wage there, you can half that up. So why would you need a 26% rate increase? Come on, we need to do this a little bit more diligently, I think. But I want to say to Rob, you're doing a good job.
Thank you. Any further comments or discussion? Yes.
Yes, Warren Lawrence again. The only thing I said was, and I don't care whether you hire a company or not, that's immaterial to me. I've been voicing on this for 8 years now. The same people that just came up and spoke knew what was going on for 8 years. The previous billing department that is there was the same billing department was there for the last 8 years. I've voiced my problem with this all along. I just ask that you contact all the other cities that do this. Yeah, 60% sounds like a high cost, and it may be a high cost. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm not here to represent that company. I'm saying that the audit that had to be done today was the first day I've seen a production schedule. First day. I've asked for this for the last administration, never got it. I got it today. I didn't even have time to go through it. But I'm saying is that a company, whether it's water company or any other company, is going to come in here, and within a 12-month period, you will know where you're at. Do it in-house. Believe yourself that you can do it in-house. You should have one company come in here and do this, that's my personal opinion, and train your people on how to do it. First of all, we don't even have the expertise here with meter testing. They say we're going to change the meters. You don't change a good meter. You test meters first. I don't know the last time our production meters have ever been tested. If these figures are true, when was the last time our production meters were tested to say that these production figures are good? You know, these are things that when I look at from a water standpoint, and God help it on the sewer side, I don't have any figures on the sewer side on how much we treat as compared to how much we receive. There's no calculations on that at all. We know how much we produce. There's sewer treatment plants here can tell you how much you produced. How much was the billing on those sewers to compare to what you're treating? Where is the loss there? You know, when you look at accounts, and I'm not going to go on this any further, I'll just let it say that I would just like to answer, if you're going to do it in-house, say you're going to do it in-house. Don't let me hanging out. If you don't want to go to another company, if you didn't check with the references on other companies, you didn't go to St. Bernard and say, well, they run a poor system, so they needed these people to come in. And I don't care if those are the people you get, but St. Bernard couldn't do it in-house. Sewage and Water Board couldn't do it in-house. They trained people after they got them there. Yes, it was a 3-year cost factor. But when you look at the millions of dollars that they got back on their 40%, it's a good deal. Thank you.
Only thing I want to say about the sewer rates is it's hard to dictate on the sewer rate. It's hard to calculate that because when you average if I have a plant in Boothville that average 1 million gallons on a normal day, but when it rains I average 10 million, that's kind of hard to prove. It's kind of hard to dictate that on the sewer rates. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Lawrence, don't get me wrong, I understand what you're saying, but I think we should, previous years, I can't speak on that, but I can say that this administration, this council that I have seen so far, they're not going to let this die. They're going to make sure we get to what we got to do, and that's the only thing. I think that we could do stuff in-house. I really do. That's the only thing I really want to say. I think that everybody is aware of your concerns. I'm aware of them, and they are holding us accountable for our actions. So that's the only thing I really want to say.
In reply to that, I'd just say one thing. If you're operating a sewer treatment plant and you can't tell a difference on what you treat from a rainwater discharge with the flow increase because of the rainwater, that's telling you your infiltration problems you have. That is something that should be done anyway. That figure is a dry weather discharge. You know what you do in a dry weather discharge, and that sets your criteria to your billing. That don't have to be a rainy season to change what your criteria is. You should know how much a 1,000 or 1,000,000 gallons it costs for sewer, and then you adjust your rates accordingly. You know, I look at this rate increase, and I'll talk at the public hearings on it. The refuse to go up by 25% is ridiculous. That should be going up at least 100% when you look at the cost factor on what it is to pick up that refuse. And you're going up 25%. That is ridiculous. maybe the sewer would only have to go up. But to straight across the board and just pick a figure of 25%, you know, we'll discuss it at the public hearing.
Thank you.
Michael Rodriguez, 143 Reynolds Lane, Pointe, Hache. What I want to know, who pays for the chemical that we putting into our water system? Does the parish pay for that or Severn Trent?
It's my understanding that the government pays for it under the new contract, where it used to be paid for under the ST contract in the previous contract.
Because we're using 50% more by putting 50% of the water on the ground. Why couldn't we circulate that water? I know you have to lay pipe, but circulate it back to the water plant.
Those are questions that I can't really answer. Right. What I can tell you, though, is that the contract, when it was renewed, is now under review by the legal department, and some of those changes were pointed out as far as who pays for what now and who paid for what before. Right. As far as recirculating the water, maybe we ought to go in and, well, I'm not going to even go there, but I can't answer that question. Anybody else can answer that question, why we don't recirculate the water that's coming out of the hydrant? Okay. The answer from the experts in the audience are impossible.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further comment on this item? If none, I think, Councilman Edgecombe, you want to defer this item?
Yes, sir, please.
Item 682 has been deferred. It's been asked by Councilman Bartholomew to go to item 6C. And then,
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan for the Highway 15 repairs project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilman Bartholomew.
I offer and ask for a second.
Second by Councilman Salva.
We are concerned about the Highway 15. We have several calls, several residents that travel the highway because of the lack of the condition of it, the lower end of it. There's no striping. There's no way to determine whether or not you're on the highway or off the highway, and you can have, sooner or later, have an accident where somebody can possibly lose their lives. Even beyond that, the preamble of the parish charter states that we need to protect the people that we represent. And this is one of the reasons why I feel that we need to go out and support that. And then also the state of Louisiana have created an atmosphere where we have funds that we can retrieve on the rural royalty fund. Normally was designed to maintain highways, but I know it is designed to maintain now, because I'm assuming since 1974 that we have the option to move some of the funds or use it outside of the operation and maintaining highways. But the original intent of that funding was to maintain highways. With that asking, I'll answer any other question any council member may have or anyone in the audience may have. But this highway haven't been done over 60 years.
My only question is the blank on line 11. Where are you taking the money from?
Charmy?
Yeah, I don't think he made changes to at the last meeting.
Yeah. We had submitted all that in the last.
Tom, is this funding coming from Council Ordinance 13-261 that was appropriated?
No, the funding I have is coming from, is being transferred from the parish-wide road maintenance fund, 100,000. 100,000 from the government complex, and 100,000 from the communication disaster upgrade project. Those 3 projects, each putting up $100,000.
That's a different one. So the money is in those projects?
Yes, the money's in those projects.
So what does that do to the projects?
Well, pretty much, I could see exactly what the balance is on each one, but if you take the funds out of those projects, I mean, the government complex is $100,000. I don't think there's much more than that. I could check the balances if you want.
I'm looking at the government complex spreadsheet now and breakdown, and I'm thinking it's coming from Council Ordinance 13-261 that was appropriated for matching funds for HMGP grant. Does that sound accurate to you, or?
It may be, may be part of it. What I'm showing is a balance in this, in that project of $566,000. And in the community disaster upgrade project, I'm showing a balance there of $124,000. And the maintenance parish-wide project, $219,000.
I guess the question is that we spent 2.5 days going through these projects, and we stopped at 15.5 million. We were a little short, looking for another couple, 300,000 to get where we wanted to be. And now we're going to come back and we're going to start stripping more projects. If that's an indication of where we're headed, I just want to know what the consideration is of the projects, and did we miss this funding?
We missed it. I know we went through each one, and engineering was there, and they explained each one of them, said that we needed the funding in these projects. So, I mean, there are a bunch of projects that still have funding, but we went through each one of them, and either engineering or some other department said that we needed those funds, so they stayed there.
I'm pretty sure that the $100,000 from the government complex is needed for matching funds, for grant match.
Anybody have any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to ask Councilman Bartholomew, is this just for the striping, or is this for?
This is to do the lower end of Highway 15, which haven't been done, as I stated, in 60 years. We ain't talking about striping all the highway. We're just talking about doing that which needs to be done. Again, just as I said, we got to do something, I don't know. Step up to the plate. Get a home run.
Mike Rodriguez again. This is very important. When it's foggy, we can't even see where we're going. You can hardly find your lane to turn in. And if someone's walking, which a lot of kids do on this road in the afternoon, coming back from basketball, whatever, someone's going to get killed or someone's going to run into a tree or something. This is very much needed. We do need this. And, you know, I hope y'all can find a way to do it. You know, at least we get some stripes on the road. I talked to him the other night at the town hall meeting, and John had already brought it up at a meeting the day before, and he knew this. But this is very important. We hope y'all can do something about this, because someone's going to have a big lawsuit against them if someone gets killed on that road. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Lapine.
Mr. Russo, what about us exploring for some RPC money? Maybe exploring something to try and get some funding for the for the highway.
I think that, you know, any avenue is fine. I'm just concerned about where we're standing and where we're headed. If we're going to open the budget up for moving projects and money around again, I just want to caution everyone that we haven't been at $55 a barrel for quite some time. And if you talk about laying off people, Mr. President, if we don't balance, and we'll have to strip every project that's not under contract. And I was under the impression that all of these contracts, all of these funds that were left were encumbered by contracts. So if they're already under contract and we're taking money away from them, are we going to default on the contract, or is that not accurate that they're not under contract?
Yeah, we'll have to check to see exactly, in other words, the contract specifications on that. I had spoken with Councilman Bartholomew. Would it take, what amount of money would it take just for the striping alone, Councilman?
We don't have, not to be disenfranchised, but we don't want to waste money. Because even if we stripe it, when we come back to overlay, we're going to have to restripe it again. Now, I don't know if you want to do that and waste some money, or you want to just go ahead and overlay and be done, then you don't have to worry about it. So that is the question at hand. Because I just don't see us doing double takes on money-wise. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm talking about?
Right. I'm just curious, and I guess we would have to go to legal and let them explore. Naturally, we want to do everything possible to help, and I hate to be redundant as far as the amount of pay, but yet, if we have a financial problem, the best thing to do would be to get it striped and then come back, maybe when all prices come back a little bit higher as far as to get the total project. But I do agree that you need the striping. It's a question of checking the contracts.
We don't only need the striping, Mr. President, we need the highway done. But I don't mind passing over that just to right now and come back before this council adjourn today to bring it back up.
Councilman Bartholomew,
before you.
Yes.
I just hope I heard Councilman Black talk about the government complex, and ever since that government complex came before this council, I always questioned how much of money was really used on that, because to me, you had the permanently Hache code out there should have been built before they even built the government complex, and so there's language, they talk about government complex in one language and permanently Hache code out, so I hope that they really look at a lot of the money that went into that government complex and really see if it really needed, because I stand here today to saying that was insult to the permanently Hache code out to even begin to do any kind of work on that government complex when nothing was done on the permanently Hache code. So I hope you look at every contract that's involved in that government complex, because you might find out a lot of unnecessary engineering money, a lot of other stuff went in there, because that was a political payoff, in my opinion.
You know, Mr. Cormier, you're looking for funds. You just created a job in recreation. You could take those funds back and put towards that highway. You know, every time something, every time an issue of the East Bank comes up, it's always something that you have to go around and around and around to find funds for it. But you can find funds for everything else that you need. You already had an administration in a position already, but you created another position to fill in the gap.
Thank you.
You all talk about justice. Y'all better come to justice.
Councilman.
Well, Ms. Ancolot, if I may answer you, what we did was we just took one position called a superintendent's position and made it a different name. So the money was basically already there. The other thing is that we definitely want to get this task accomplished as far as the striping. At least it seems to me like the most important safety hazard that you have is the striping. So it's just a matter
for the council. It's the whole highway. It's not only the striping.
And again, if that's so, in other words, then I would say, in other words, that if we look at it and find out about the money, if it's contracted or not, and naturally we want to do everything we can. I'm just looking for a way to get the immediate relief for you, which seems to be the most important thing as far as the striping is concerned, which we will try to work out and make sure that we get it for you.
Well, we hope
whether or not we have the total amount, I guess that's the question. And all I'm trying to find out is how much will it cost, and for the breakdown on the striping or for the total project, so that then the council can get together and look at it and make that decision and work with you.
Okay, because we hope we're not facing the same council, the past council, with 5 in control. We don't need that this time again.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Bartholomew.
The thing is I'm concerned about is that we are in the mode of just what you're saying, changing the position that we had stated we would be in with legislation and accommodating projects. And the money's coming out of the budget. And if we're going to continue doing that, I don't see why not we can't continue to fix this highway out of the budget. Now, if everything was status quo as we stated, that no capital outlay projects are being done until we get over this fiscal crisis, I have no but to support that. I have no objection in supporting that. But now I see every time I turn up, we're doing legislation of creating funds, appropriations. And I'm still stuck on this side without a decent highway. So that's my concern. So where do we stand on that in reference to everything else? So we ought to get our share just as well as anybody else, especially if there's a great need. If it wasn't a need, I can understand. I'm very, very cooperative, as you know. According to the cuts in the budget we made, I was very cooperative. Even though I didn't say I was a cooperative, but we were on the cuts that was done. But now, we seem that we're reverting back to appropriations. And that's my concern.
Councilman Thalamy, I agree 100%. If the direction is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to spend ourselves into a crisis, then, you know, that's where we're going to be. And if we open up spending now, you know, I don't have any position other than, well, I'll vote for all of the spending until we get to the final door, and then, Mr. President, you'll have to make the final cuts in wherever we are. You know, I'm here sitting saying, you know, I'm not for putting us in that position, but if that's the direction we are headed, you know, I'll sit back and watch us go down that path.
Well, Mr. Chairman, as I stated earlier, you know, the idea behind making decisions is they're not going to be popular and they're not going to be easy. And I did not run as a politician. I campaigned as a statesman. And a statesman makes decisions based on if it's the right thing. So we cannot afford to get into deficit spending. It's illegal. So that's my recommendation to the council. We have to do the things to meet safety standards, but whether or not we go above and beyond that, you know. I think illegal was trying to get a position on the contracts.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy. There's 300 and how much thousand?
Yes, $350,000 in resurface highway striping right now in the project.
Already there?
Right. I talked to Ken Dugas, and he told me that he thought that would be enough to do the striping for it. And I don't know what else that money was there for, but he said that, you know, that would be enough for that.
So there, apparently there is 300 and some odd thousand there to do the, if y'all want to use it to do the striping. That's what we understand. And from the engineer, that would be enough to do the striping. It wouldn't have to move any money around to do the striping, at least the striping.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Badawi.
I don't think it says striping only.
I only said that because that's what y'all were talking about.
I'm just clarifying what you're saying, but you need to say what's the dedication is for.
It says, the name of the project is Resurface Striping Highway 15.
Now, if the council want to change that, then they have the authority to do so. But that's not what it says. It says what he just stated. It's for the resurfacing of the highway and striping. And we're asking, that's what we're asking for.
But my concern is that if it takes $300,000 to stripe and $300,000 to resurface it, we got a problem in my mind of how that's going to work out. Because I can't see us spending $300,000 to restripe it and $300,000 to resurface it when striping should be a lot less expensive than resurfacing.
But, excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. Dugas did not say, he didn't say it was going to take $300,000 to stripe. He said there's $300,000 there, that which should cover enough, more than enough to cover striping. It wasn't like, here's $300,000, go stripe the road. I didn't mean to create that impression.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilmember Thalamy.
I don't think we have an idea what it's going to cost, because we haven't had a commitment from the engineer that did the study to tell you exactly what it is. So if this council want to, considering to vote on overlaying the highway and striping, and they want to wait on the input from Mr. Dugas, let's appropriate the money, then we won't spend it till Dugas give us the price. It's on the table. And if not, we just pass over and come back. We can pass over and come back.
Councilmember Thalamy wants to pass over item C at this time.
And that's before the adjournment of this meeting now.
Yes, yes. At this time, I'd like to ask that the council members, we're starting with Councilmember Thalamy, go through the agenda and decide which items are going to be deferred and withdrawn today. So if there's someone in the audience, they'll know where we're going to go. We will be there.
Have none at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Councilmember Black.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. The only one I have is for the construction permit that I gave you.
Okay, item 4A1 will be deferred.
Yes.
Councilman Black?
Yeah, 6-3 deferred.
6-3 will be deferred.
That's all.
Councilman Lapine?
6D, that's in dog, will be withdrawn. That's all.
I have none.
I have item 6B will be withdrawn. Item 6E will be withdrawn. E. Councilmember Burt.
I'd like to withdraw 6H, 6R, 6A1, and I'd like to defer 6Q. That's all.
Repeat them again. H, Q deferred, R withdrawn, and what other one?
6H withdrawn, 6R withdrawn, 6A1 withdrawn, and 6Q deferred.
Okay. Councilman Savant?
I have none, Mr. President.
Councilman Edgecombe?
Yes, I'm going to defer 4A4 and also the letter I. That's all I have, sir.
4A4. Councilman Williams?
I would like to withdraw 6U, and that's all I have.
You. Okay, as a recap, and then correct me if we don't have it right, 4A1 will be deferred, 4A4 will be deferred, 6A1 withdrawn, 6-2 deferred, 3 deferred, B withdrawn, D withdrawn, E withdrawn, H withdrawn, and I withdrawn, Q defer, excuse me, I was deferred, excuse me.
Yes.
Q defer, R withdrawn, and U withdrawn. Is that correct?
I defer J, Mr. Chairman.
And item J also will be deferred. Any others to be withdrawn or withdrawn? Hearing none, it's been requested that we at this time move to item 6O by Councilmember Burt.
An ordinance to amend the Public Health Fund 2015 operating expenditure budget, Health General Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer with changes.
Councilman Burt offers. Is there, I'll pass out the changes.
Yeah, I'll second. I thought it was second.
Councilman Edgecombe seconds with changes.
I'll answer any questions that anybody might have with changes.
Councilman Burt offers with changes. Councilman Edgecombe seconds. Councilmember Burt.
On line 7, I'd like to strike out appropriating and add transferring $40,000. Scratching out from the general fund, unreserved designated fund balance. Line 9, insert whereas the funding being transferred from the widening of Highway 23 Engineers Road to La Palco project, where budgeted for highway lighting and are not needed at this time. On line 15, scratching out appropriating, inserting transferring $20,000 from the emergency levy Potato Ridge project and $20,000 from the widening of Highway 23 Engineers Road to La Palco project. And with those changes, I'll offer.
It's been offered in second. It's already been seconded by Councilmember Edgecombe. All right, so on the transfer of funding, you've checked with the Regional Planning Commission or someone that has told you that that project doesn't need these funds for the widening of 23 to La Palco?
Yes, sir. In this project, there was several ordinances that made up this widening piece. The last portion of that was appropriated in 2014 for lighting. And I spoke to the engineering firm this morning, as well as finance and engineering. That lighting project has not been designed, and it's at least minimum 2 years away from even going to design. So that money right now is not needed, and so I'm going to take $20,000 from that fund.
And the $20,000 for the emergency levee Potato Ridge project, that's something that they don't need either?
Yes, sir. That's also a project that was supposed to be done in-house, or actually by engineering firm. And I spoke to Mr. Blair Rittner this morning, and I believe that project's going to be done in-house now, and $20,000 could be utilized from that project as well. That's not needed. That is in the Salvance district.
Yes, yes. Mr. President, I was not made aware of this transfer until I got to the council meeting today of this $20,000 from this levee Potato Ridge project that's in my district. And I really would like to have conversation with Mr. Burt, or have more of a conversation with Mr. Burt before I would consent to him utilizing this $20,000 of my district funding.
Any further conversation? Councilman Juneau would like to move for a 5-minute recess. Is there any objection to that? Hearing none, we'll recess for 5 minutes. We'll come back at 2 o'clock. John's back at the table. Come on, John.
I was going to bring it to a vote, the stuff that I was putting into it today, for $53,000. No, I was putting 50 and John was putting 3 out of his office.
Well, he's taking it out of
I'm taking it out of my project.
in his own district.
You withdrawn it?
Call the meeting back to order at 2:05, excuse me. Lost an hour in that meeting. At this time, Councilmember Burt.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask at this time 6-0 be withdrawn.
6-0 is withdrawn. At this time, we'll move to item 6C. Councilmember Bartholomew. Withdrawn.
Council would be voting on our citrus industry. Can you tell me if that's going to take place?
No, sir. The item was just now withdrawn, so it won't be today.
Can you tell us when it would be brought back up?
Not at this time. We'll have to look at when it's been reintroduced, when it'll be reintroduced, if it's reintroduced. So at this time, we don't know.
Well, we're very disappointed, you know, that like we had said there like a couple weeks ago, that...
You want to come to the mic?
Sure. Like I was saying, I was disappointed, like I was saying just a couple weeks ago up in our meeting, that we're really under the gun here, that we don't have much time if we're going to continue this very important program, that we just don't have much time. So please, put y'all heads together. We would like y'all to reconsider. Our industry has been in Plaquemines now for generations. That we talked about the abandoned groves. please, council, don't you go and abandon us now. They're in our really time of need. So please, put your heads together, see what, try to be creative, see what you all can do for us, please.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We move to item 4A2.
Century Exploration New Orleans, LLC, application number 2015-40, dated January 13, 2015, to install 3-inch pipeline, 2-inch gas lift line, line heater platform and walkway, California Bay Area.
At this time, we'll ask you to read also 6, 3, and 4, and 6. We will take 4A5 by itself.
Number 3 is Hellas Oil and Gas Company, LLC, application number 2015-76, dated January 23, 2015, maintenance jetting operations at existing central facility, Black Bay Field. Number 6 is Cedar Gas, application number 2015-240, dated March 13, 2015, to inspect existing 6-inch pipeline for leaks after the fact application, South Pass Field.
This time, do we have a motion to accept building permits 4A2, 3, 4, and 6?
4 was deferred.
I noticed that.
But he moved it back? Councilman Edgecombe?
Yes, sir.
You want to move forward with that one?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay,
Read
sorry.
that one, please.
It was reason for it. I thought I wasn't able to review that one, but I did review that one. So I'm good to go with it.
Okay, 4A4 is Eustis Engineering, application number 2014-203, dated March 4th, 2015, to drill 5 saw borings and 2 dynamic core penetration tests, South Plaquemines High School, Buras.
At this time, I entertain a motion to approve building permits 4A2, 3, 4, and 6.
I'll make it.
Councilman Juneau offers, Councilman Edgecombe seconds.
Yes,
Is there any
sir.
comments or discussion on these 4 permits? Hearing none, machine is open. Councilmember Black? I abstain. And the permits are adopted, 8 with 1 abstention, Councilmember Black. This time we'll move to items 4A5.
Targa Resources Partners, LP, application number 2015-235, dated March 12, 2015, to install 8-inch pipelines and temporary workspace, Venice Gas Plant, Venice.
I'll offer, is there a second? Second by Councilmember Burt.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be present, not voting on this one.
Yes, Councilmember Williams will not be participating. Any comments or discussion on the item? Being none, machine is open. Mr. Lapine. And the permit is adopted to 7 with 2 abstentions. 1 present not voting, Ms. Williams. Excuse me. We move to item B.
Michelle Benamy, 3rd Trailer Residence, 17333, Highway 15, Pointe, Hache, Louisiana.
Councilmember Bartholomew.
Offer as submitted.
Is there a second? Second by Councilman Lapine. Any comments or discussion? Hearing none, the machine is open. Councilman Edgecombe.
Sorry.
And the resolution is adopted 8-0. Move to item C.
Wholesale Fireworks, Kurt Cavalier, Fireworks Stand Renewal, 7614 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana.
I'll offer next for a second.
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Lapine. Any comments or discussion? Fireworks stand renewal. Hearing none, machine is open. Vote your machines, members.
I'm here.
And the resolution is adopted 9-0. Move to item D.
PHI Inc., Henry Smith, 2015 Trailer Park Renewal, Ernie's Lane, Boothville, Louisiana.
Councilman Williams,
Offer is read.
is there a second?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Edgecombe seconds. Any comments or discussion on the item? Hearing none, machine is open. And the resolution is adopted 9-0. Move to item E.
Belle Chase Mobile Home Park, Charles Whitley, 2015 Trailer Park Renewal, River Oaks and Burt Drive, Belle Chase, Louisiana.
I'll offer to ask for a second. Second by Councilmember Juneau. Any comments or discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question on this
Yes.
property. Since we have the permit zoning department here, I notice this is an I-2 zoning district. There's also a property adjacent to this property that is also applying for the same type of permit. Could you guys elaborate on that a little bit?
Before we go into that one, I think that we're in litigation on that one, and we're going to be going to executive session. So before we say anything in public, I think we ought to have the executive session.
I think you're right.
That's right.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion on the item? Hearing none, machine is open. And the resolution is adopted 8-0 to 1 abstention. Councilmember Byrd abstaining. Move to item F.
Next two.
Delta Dragon RV Park, formerly Satsuma RV Park, Angie and Mark Majora, 2015 Trailer Park Renewal, Finnegan Lane, Venice, Louisiana.
Councilman Williams, you offer?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yes, sir.
Second by Councilman Edgecombe. Any comments or discussion on the trailer park renewal? Hearing none, machine is open. And the resolution is adopted 9-0. We will move to liquor license, which we inadvertently skipped. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Yes, I have two. Highway Adventure at Poite's Marina and Highway Adventure at Poite's Restaurant.
None for District 2.
I have one. J&J Mort, 7812 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana.
Councilman Juneau.
I have him.
I have one for Suds Tavern, 106 East Barrier Road, Belle Chase, Louisiana, for renewal. That's all I have for Councilmember Byrd.
I have none.
I have none, sir.
I have none.
Councilman Williams.
I have none.
Do I have a motion to accept the liquor permits?
Yes, sir.
I'll move. Councilman Edgecombe seconds.
Roger.
Any comments or discussion on the liquor permits? Here none. Machine is open. And liquor permits are approved 9-0. This time we'll move to item 6A4.
An ordinance authorizing the creation of a four-way stop and the placement of 4 stop signs at the intersection of Industry and Planters Canal Road, Belle Chase, Louisiana, to establish penalties for violations thereof and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilmember Black.
Offer.
Councilmember Black offers. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Lapine. Any comments or discussion? Comments or discussion? Anybody? Hearing none, the machine is open. And the resolution is, the ordinance, is adopted 9-0. Move to item 6A5.
An ordinance authorizing the creation of a 3-way stop and the placement of 3 stop signs at the intersection of Ginger Court and Spring Rose Drive, Belle Chase, Louisiana, the creation of a westbound stop and the placement of a stop sign at Springtime Drive and Jasmine Court, Belle Chase, Louisiana, the creation of a westbound stop and the placement of a stop sign at Sunflower Road and Pointe Drive, Belle Chase, Louisiana, the creation of an eastbound stop and the placement of a stop sign at Springtime Drive and Wild Rose Drive, Belle Chase, Louisiana, to establish penalties for violations thereof and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilmember Black.
Offer.
Councilman Black offers. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Lapine. Any comments or discussion on the item? Mr. Henry.
This in the Springwood subdivision?
Yes, sir.
That subdivision not that old, is it?
No, sir.
Okay, you're putting public things in private things.
Any further comments or discussion on the item? Hearing none, machine is open. And the ordinance is adopted 9-0. Move to item 6A6.
An ordinance by the Plaquemines Parish Council as and on behalf of the West Bank Levy District and the Buras Levy District to appropriate perpetual water line and/or utility and pipeline easements in certain portions of land in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, to construct the New Orleans to Venice West Bank Hurricane Protection Levee, NOV-05A, St. Jude to City Price project in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana for levee, drainage, flood, and hurricane protection purposes, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilmember Salvo.
Yes, before we move on this, Mr. President, I would like Mr. Rittner to come up and give a thorough explanation to the public on this.
I'll second if she offers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For discussion.
Councilman Salvo offers. Councilman Bartholomew seconds.
Good evening. Blair Rittner, Plaquemines Parish Government Land Department. This particular ordinance, last year we did an appropriation for the NOV-5A levee project, which is the back levee that's under construction right now in Diamond. What happened was we acquired a levee servitude for the project. We have 3 utilities crossing that levee. The Corps will no longer let a gas line, phone line, nor a water line go through the levee. Everything has to go over the top. If y'all passed it, you would have seen a 20-inch water main going over the levee. So what we have to do legally is put a utility right-of-way crossing over a federal levee. And it was overlooked when we did it originally. Our appraiser caught it, and it's just a formality that we have to add this utility water right-of-way over that levee. It would be it'd be the same thing as if we were putting in a ramp or some other structure in the levee. We just have to have that pointed out.
Any comments or questions?
Yes, sir. I needed Mr. Rittner to explain that to the public, because my question was, how could I pass the highway and see construction going on, and now we having a legislation being passed after the fact?
Ms. Salva, it's really a formality. You know, the levee right-of-way is established. Right now, we have to put a utility right-of-way on top of a levee right-of-way. Basically, that's what it is. It's a formality. The water line is Plaquemines Parish government's water line. It's fed down from Belchase down into the Buras area. And what they're doing right now is placing, I don't think the line's fused and hooked up and running. They're just laying the line on top of a little levee section to get it to construction, to get it back in service.
Okay, I just wanted an explanation, because I'm sure the general public had the same concerns that I had.
Exactly.
Any further comments or discussion on the item? Mr. Turner.
Burgo Turner, 161 East Bellevue. The project itself, the water line project, Mr. Rittner is talking about getting a right-of-way over the levees, but I recall us approving $1.4 million for the water treatment station in Pointe, Hache, known as the Port Sulphur Water Treatment Station. And so my question is, the project of running the line, the water line, was that ever approved by the council? Did that ever come before the council? You're talking about the easement, the right-of-way to cross the levee, but I think Ms. Salvin is talking about the project itself, the water line project. I don't recall that ever coming before the council. And so my question to the council and administration is, if this is an ongoing project, which the eyes will tell you that it is, then the question becomes, one, was it approved And two, how does that affect the improvements, the needed improvements for the water treatment plant in Pointe Hache? And so it gives the impression that the parish moved on its own without council approval in running this line as though this was an approved project, and still has ignored the repairs at the Port Sulphur water treatment plant, which is the site in Pointe Hache. And so you talking about the levee, Ms. Audrey asked about the project. I saw the same thing. Water lines are being laid. Did that ever come before the council? And what's the cost of that project?
Okay, the piece that I'm speaking of is on the NOV 05A levee project. It has nothing to do with the Port Sulphur plant. Right now.
So let me ask you 1 second.
Okay.
The ordinance that we're dealing with right now is to do what?
To put a utility servitude over the newly constructed levee.
And nothing else?
And nothing else. It has nothing to do with that water plant that he's speaking of. The water line may go to it, but it's not part of this project. We're only talking about a servitude over an existing levee. And the other thing, Mr. Turner, the water line exists, except it runs down the marsh side of the existing levee. So all we're doing, we have to cross the levee. Right now, it's through the levee. So all we're doing is taking it out of the levee, going over the levee. That's it. Strictly NOV 5 levee, and it's a federally funded project, and it's at no cost to Plaquemines Parish government.
Again, but we're asking for support because of this water line that's being laid. It's gone over the levee. I follow that. But the water line itself, that project, was that an approved project by the council? And is that the project to run the water line eventually all the way to Belle Chase, with all of the other stations being substations?
A different issue?
I believe the legislation, I don't have it in front of me.
No, but it's a different issue. From what I understand, this is the easement.
Yeah.
To go over the levee itself, and it has nothing to do with that project that you're talking about. Perhaps Ms. Salvant want to put that item on the agenda, and we can talk about what didn't get done in the project that you're talking about, correct?
Thanks, sir.
Is that what you want to talk about, though?
I thought it was one and the same. I thought the water line, we're asking for the right-of-way, but it's for the same line. Aren't we asking for a right-of-way for the water line? What's the purpose of the right-of-way?
What we have done last year, we established a servitude for the levee only. We did not get a utility crossing. This piece of legislation, all we're doing is getting a utility right-of-way to cross a federal levee. That's it. Has nothing to do with anything else.
But it does tie into a water line that goes to a project that you want to talk about that's not on the agenda.
The utilities is the water line.
It is.
Okay.
But, I mean, to talk about that project, Ms. Salvant may want to put that on the agenda at the next meeting, and we can go that direction.
Right, but it's a separate project.
That is correct. Thank you.
Any comments or discussion on the item? Any further comments or discussion on the item? None? Machine is open.
Thank you.
And the ordinance is adopted 9-0. We will move to item F. Councilmember Bartholomew, this is Councilmember Bartholomew. Your intentions? So you can withdraw this? Councilman?
Deferred.
Deferred. F. Item G.
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan by transferring funds from the East Bank levee project back to the new courthouse project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilman Bartholomew, you want to?
Yeah, that was suggested to be deferred because of the $2 million that this council took from the courthouse fund, which went to the library first, and it came from the courthouse.
And it's no longer there?
It's no longer at the courthouse, no longer at the library.
You want to withdraw it?
Yeah, I guess I have to.
Thank you.
Withdraw that.
We'll move to item K.
An ordinance to amend the 2015 General Fund Manpower Structure Maintenance Department General and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilmember Bartholomew. K. K. Maintenance Department General.
pass over that, Mr. Chairman.
This item will be passed over, deferred.
Pass over.
Move to item L.
A resolution establishing a program for residents who live on private roads and lanes or who have driveways which are in such disrepair that it is difficult for emergency vehicles to access those in need of emergency services, to apply for financial assistance from the Community Action Agency, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I offer.
Councilman Bartholomew offers. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Salvin.
What this ordinance does is whenever funding become available, we can put in community action, just like everything else, to help the poor people out that doesn't have any money, that can't fix their driveways, to have egress and ingress of medical service, fire protection, everything else they need that's been provided by the parish because of the driveways not being suitable for the equipment to go down the driveway, and we said that we would fill in and come in and repair those. And even in some of those driveways, we went and put a sewer line down the middle of those driveways. So we have to have a servitude or right-of-way of entry to do that anyway. But it seems as though every time it comes up, we don't have a dedication. It's not dedicated. I don't know how it didn't get dedicated, because we put public sewer in the streets, in some of them. But that's where I'm coming from, and I offer that. And I think there is a great need. And through the state constitution, it's a law state that we can do. And the U.S. Constitution states we must do. The preamble of our charter said we must do. So it all depends how you feel about those entities, how we're going to vote on it. Thank you.
Any comments on this from the legal department or anybody else?
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes, Mr. Edgecombe.
I would ask that Mr. Bartholomew defer this, and I would ask all of my colleagues to defer anything else pertaining to money with the matter at hand that we're having to deal with right now.
Mr. Councilman, I beg to differ. It's not about money. It's about establishing a procedure. And the only time money comes to play when it's being appropriated to community action. So we're not asking for money from this council at this point in time. It's a procedure that I'm asking for. So we have in-house to when money become flourishing through this great parish of ours, we can afford the opportunity to get some of the BP lustrous funds to put into the projects.
Do we have anybody from Community Action here?
Yes. Ms. Othello-Hughes, would you come forward and discuss this, please?
Ms. Othello, when you get up, I just wanted to ask a quick question in reference to what Councilman Bartholomew just said, and that's how I read it as well. But I want to make sure that we have a mechanism in place to screen individuals who apply. Is that?
Yes, that's what Community Action does. We screen the residents to make sure they meet the income guidelines, and we use 60% of the state's income poverty level for the means of determining if they're eligible to receive services.
Okay, thanks.
Any further comments or discussion?
Yes, I want to say, Mr. President, it's what I'm understanding from Mr. Bartholomew is that he just want to put a mechanism in place because we are faced with financial issues regarding other program services, just as you've seen with the citrus trees and community care and a lot of other program that are being faced with possible cuts are not being appropriated, not receiving appropriations. So I just want my colleagues to understand if this is what the intent of Mr. Bartholomew legislation is just to put a mechanism in place. Money will not, or funds will not come into play until maybe when our windfall does come. Is that what I'm understanding?
Question for me?
Yes.
What is it? Yes.
Ms. Salvin, would you repeat that?
Oh my God.
Yes, no problem. Mr. Black had my attention.
Do we have any further comments from anybody, administration, legal department, or anybody from the audience?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just a clarification, that's all. As I understand it, this is authorizing folks to go make an application for assistance. That's all this is about, is it? It's a process. I understand it's the process. It's not like we're taking parish funds or parish assets and giving them to private citizens. We're not. I understand that. I just want a clarification, that's all. If that's the way it is, it's no problem whatsoever with the legal department.
When funds become available in that program, it will be given to the poor.
That's fine. All I'm saying is with that, that clarification clears it up in my mind that we have no opposition to it. It's legal.
Any further comments or discussion on the item? Hearing none, machine is open. Resolution is adopted 9-0.
Thank my colleagues
Move to
for
item
that.
M.
Mr. Chairman, we'll withdraw after the
Withdraw
success
M.
of this one.
Move to item N, something now that we can be positive about.
A resolution giving preliminary approval to the issuance of not exceeding $13 million of revenue refunding bonds in one or more series of the Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana, providing certain terms of said bonds, making application to the State Bond Commission for approval of said bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
I'll offer an X for a second. Second by Councilmember Juneau. Mr. Hugh Martin is in the audience to explain this, and in the brief synopsis that I understand, would like to come forward and explain what we're doing.
What we're doing is very similar to refinancing the mortgage on your home. The council and the parish in 2007 and 2009 issued two separate bond issues which were sold at competitive sale and are out there now bearing interest rates which were bid on. What we're proposing to do now is to refund those bonds. That is, we'll issue new bonds at the lower rates which prevail now. As everyone is aware, we're experiencing just about all-time lows for interest rates. So we expect to sell bonds at a much lower rate. The proceeds from the sale of those bonds are used to pay off the old bonds, just like you would pay off your old mortgage if you were refunding it. What you wind up with after the transaction is complete is a new bond issue at a lower interest rate, which reduces the payments you make each year to retire that debt. And it's being done all over the country because of these lower rates. These are only estimates because that's all we can work with now, because we don't know the exact rate that the bonds would be sold at. But the best estimate we have based on today's interest rates is that your net savings after payment of expenses would produce about $441,000 in savings, the present value of which is about $375,000. Present value is a calculation taking into account some of the monies you transfer from one sinking fund to a new sinking fund, which are not available to be invested anywhere else, so it's reduced for that amount. In the real world, however, the way I look at it, you save the full $441,000. That will produce a savings annually of about $51,000 each year over the remaining life of the bonds. The remaining life of the bonds is not extended. It does not go beyond the year 2029, which is the last maturity on the bonds now. That's it in a concise nutshell. If you want to speak, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councilmember.
How many bonds will we be paying up, rededicating? Who will pay off in that place of that 12 million, 13 million?
Yeah, now this 13 million is a not to exceed amount. Don't expect that we will issue that many bonds. The reason why we ask you to approve at this stage a not exceeding 13 million is that this is for an application to the State Bond Commission. They will grant this application. That way, if a few more bonds were required for the transaction, that you wouldn't have to go back all the way to the bond commission. But the bonds we have outstanding excuse me now, the 2007 issue is $3,615,000. The 2009 bonds are $9,505,000.
Those are going to be retired, and we're going to reinvest this.
Yeah, those are going to be paid off. Right.
So the bottom line for me is that we are not extending the debt time. They'll be paid off at the same time. We're just saving the $400,000 over the period of time due to the lower interest rate.
That's correct.
So we're not extending the time period whatsoever.
Not extending it, no.
Any further comments or discussion?
Question.
Mr. Chairman, the administration appreciates Mr. Hugh Martin, and we're in favor of this.
Thank you. Did someone have a question? Oh, that was calling a question. The question's been called. Machine is open. And the ordinance is adopted 9-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Martin.
Thank you all very much.
We will move to item P. Councilmember Byrd.
I'm going to withdraw that, Mr. Chairman.
P will be withdrawn. We move to item S.
An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan for the sewer lift station number 24 project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilman Edgecombe offers, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Any comments?
Yeah, so what this is, like it says, sewer station number 24 needs to be moved. This is added funding needed for the project, which is coming out of the same sewer project. It's just a matter of moving the money to.
Okay, any further comments or discussion on the item?
This is some additional spending.
It's moving from one sewer lift station to another.
So,
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
we still spending more money.
No, the same amount.
I'm sorry?
The same amount of money.
But the money wasn't used for anything. It was a surplus
No, it's it.
from the project.
There was what, Tom, I think 200 and something, then we needed 100,000 for this one to do the total lift. Right.
Any comments or discussion? Further? Hearing none, machine is open. And the ordinance is adopted 9-0. Move to item T.
An ordinance to officially name the access lane located at 36965 Highway 11, Buras, Louisiana to Toe Hoskin Lane, authorizing the installation of street signs and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilmember Williams.
I'll offer as read.
Councilman Williams' office, is there a second?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Edgecombe seconds. Is there comments or discussion on the item? No comments or discussion on Toe Hoskin Lane, Mr. President.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, this is Puppy Hoskins' father, Toe Hoskins, who originated H&B.
Okay. Any comments or discussion? Further? Hearing none, machine is open. And the ordinance is adopted 9-0. This time we'd like to, excuse me, 6K. We had passed over 6K. Councilmember Bartholomew. You want to withdraw it?
Have anybody in maintenance? Because we need to know, I need to know whether or not if we really need this particular person. Administration?
Yeah, it's my understanding that it's the air conditioning situation, and I guess they just want cooler heads to prevail.
No, but the people we have, we don't have anybody on staff. That's what it is, to replace someone.
I don't know if anyone, if we have anyone here.
The item will be deferred.
We can address that.
At this time, before we revert back to item 5, we will take up the item 7, new business, and then item 5, and then we will move into executive session. So at this time, we'll go to 7A, where there are none. Move to 7B.
Update and presentation by District 7.
Councilman Salvant.
Sir, I would like to take this opportunity to inform residents of District 7 that I've arranged a town hall meeting at the Port Sulphur YMCA regarding any and all issues that you may have for our current parish president, and I've asked Mr. Rittner to be available along with the Corps, because we basically want to deal with things regarding the levies in that area. So I just wanted to make that known to my area, everyone in the District 7 area.
Did you announce the time and date?
April 8th at 6 o'clock, Port Sulphur YMCA.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further items, discussion on that item? If not, item C will be deferred again. Pat Forbes had called through the administration wanting to have this on the agenda, and he hasn't had anybody show up that I know of. Is anybody in the audience to talk about the National Disaster Resilience and Competition?
Mr. Chairman, in doing some research on it, the state is getting public comments that we have to make a cut after if what the state proposes that they get past the first round, I guess you'd say, then they will come to Plaquemines Parish and ask us as to what we might be interested in with this program. But they haven't made the first cut yet, so we don't know if we're in it or not.
So at this time, we'll just go ahead and let this fall off the agenda as being completed. Thank you. We'll move to item 7D.
Status and update on Pointe Hache Courthouse.
Councilmember Bartholomew.
Yes, I don't know if the legal team have any information on the status of the courthouse yet. All right. Well, what I have, I can tell you what I have. I called the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal, and it won't be till June or July before they hear the case. That's before them. And the case is whether or not one contractor get the bid to demolition of the courthouse or not. So it was at the local level, and the ad hoc judge came in and he ruled in favor of the lowest bidder, and that was with the council. Then the other bidder, he went and applied, petitioned the Fourth Circuit for a ruling. So when I called them, I couldn't get no answers. I had to call them yesterday, the day before yesterday. I called them, and that's where we are with the demolition component. Next time we'll have on the agenda the discussion of the drawings with Linfield and Hunter and see where they are with the drawings and the replacement of the tower in Pointe Hache. Because the tower can be replaced now, moved now. We don't have to wait on because it's a separate bid for moving the tower, so that can be done now. So we're waiting on that, the drawings for that as well with Linfield Hunter. And soon I find that out information, then we'll come back to the public and let you know what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew. Item 7E.
Discussion regarding overlay of Main Street from Avenue M to Oak Road.
Councilmember Juneau.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to thank Mr. Blair Rittner for working with the Corps, because the Corps put up the money and we were able to do this overlay without no cost to the FARs. The Corps did it because they had made the mess. It was a big mess, and the people that live and drive on Main Street should be happy now. Thank you, Mr. Blair.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Mr. Warren.
Warren Lawrence. Just one comment on that. If we'd have been getting the money from the borrow pits per ton, that is what the money was supposed to be dedicated to repair those streets that they were destroying. So I hope we move forward with doing something with the borrow pits and get our money. That should have been taken care of a long time ago, and they still not collecting it, and that's what it's for, the road fund. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, move to item 8, approval of the minutes from the March 12, 2015 meeting. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Juneau. I'll second. Is there any comments or discussion? On the minutes. Hearing none, minutes, machine is open on the minutes. And the minutes are adopted 9-0. At this time, we will revert back to item 5, introductions of ordinances and resolutions. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Yes, I have an ordinance to transfer funding from the REACH B2 Vegetation Ridge Marsh Creation Project from Fort Jackson, Venice, to the East Bank Levee Hurricane Protection Project, and otherwise to provide respect thereto. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Councilmember?
None. I have none.
Councilmember Juneau. I have a resolution authorizing Plaquemines Parish President Amos Cormier Jr. to enter into execute the original entity/state agreement for Peters Road Bridge and Extension Phase 2 State Project Number H008068, Federal Aid Project Number H008068, herein referred to as the project, with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and the Regional Planning Commission. An ordinance to transfer funding from the REACH B2 Vegetative Ridge and Marsh Creation Project from Fort Jackson to Venice to the Levee Lift Project, West Bank and Vicinity-12 Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council that the concurrence of the parish president to adopt the Plaquemines Parish Hazard Mitigation Plan updated March 2015. These are two civil service items that have been asked for, and I'll introduce them for discussion at the next meeting. It's an ordinance to approve the amended pay plan adopted by the Civil Service Commission on March 11, 2015 to create the classifications of diesel mechanic, mechanic tier 2 and 3, diesel mechanic technician, air conditioning mechanic technician, hydraulic mechanic technician tier 4, diesel mechanic technician, to delete the classification of diesel mechanic and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And an ordinance to approve the amended civil service pay plan adopted by the Civil Service Commission on March 11, 2015 to reallocate the classification of supervisor and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And at this time, that's all I have.
I have three, Mr. Chairman. In order to amend the 2015 General Fund manpower structure, courthouse security, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to transfer funding from the REACH B2 Vegetative Ridge and Marsh Creation Project from Fort Jackson to Venice to the Levee Lift Project WV-9A and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to transfer funding from the REACH B2 Vegetative Ridge and Marsh Creation Project from Fort Jackson to Venice to the planning and design of Oakville to La Receipt Back Levee HSDRRS NOV-NFL-04A and MRL Oakville to La Receipt MRL-WB-179 to 100-year level of risk protection project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That is all.
Councilmember Sauer.
Yes, I have two. An ordinance to amend the setback requirements in a settlement agreement between the Plaquemines Parish government and Woodland Borough Pits, LLC, covering permitted operations of the Woodland South Borough Pit in exchange for Woodland Borough Pits, LLC, donating the required portion of the levy servitude for the NOV-06A.2 levy project, which lies within the Woodland South Borough Pit property, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And an ordinance to amend the 2015 Waterworks and Sewer Fund manpower structure, waterwork billing/collection department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilman Edgecombe?
Yes, I have one.
An ordinance to amend and as amended reenact Section 22-81 of the Code of Ordinances to establish water rates. To amend and as amended reenact Section 22-22(3) of the Code of Ordinance to provide for sewer fees. To amend and as amended reenact Section 22-23 of the Code of Ordinances to establish refuse fees. To amend and as amended reenact Section 11-5H of the Code of Ordinances to establish new fees for additional refuse containers and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilmember Williams.
I have three. An ordinance to transfer funding from the REACH B2 Vegetative Ridge and Marsh Creation Project from Fort Jackson to Venice to the Bud Mat West Bay Project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the letting for public competitive bidding for Lot E of the Venice Boat Harbor. And a resolution allowing Janice Andrews, Justice of the Peace, to use the District 9 Council Office Conference Room to hold court on an as-needed basis and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
That's it? At this time, Councilman Bartholomew has asked that we return to item K. He has learned some new information he'd like to share with us. Item K. But you're going to read it for you first.
An ordinance to amend the 2015 General Fund Manpower Structure Maintenance Department General and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Councilman Bartholomew offers. Is there a second? I'll second.
Okay. What I found out was that's to replace the contract that we had with Star Air Conditioning Company, the service we had to assist in the fixing of the air conditioning. Since we no longer have that contract with Star, the one guy we have can't keep up, so they're requesting we take the money in the budget to hire this particular person to replace the contract to Star Air Conditioning. That's what this is about.
So the money comes out of the contract and moves into a person, an employee?
That's what he told me, so I'm not just saying
right.
that's what it was.
Any further comments or discussion on the item? Hearing none, machine is open. The ordinance is adopted 9-0. Having completed the agenda except the executive session, at this time I'd like to move into executive session for the following items.
Number 1, Danny J. Chosclair, case number 62-030, Division A, 25th JDC, and other trailer park cases, Attorney Shane Landry. Number 2, Dynamic Constructors, LLC versus PPG, case number 61-883, Division B, and Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal number 2015-CA-0271, Attorney Shane Landry.
At this time, I ask for a motion to move into executive session. Al Orphan, next for a second. Second by Councilmember Burt. Machine is open on the motion. This time, we'll move into executive session 8-0. And before we do that, I'd like to ask everyone to take a picture for the proclamation that we had right before we go in. All right.
Thank you.
call the meeting back to order at 3:15. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Without any formal or binding action having been taken in executive session, I wanted to clear that up. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Offered by Councilman Juneau, second by Councilmember Burt. Machine is open on the adjournment.
I'll do a verbal yes.
And the meeting is adjourned at 3:16, 9-0. Thank you very much.
Hey, Terry just wanted to tell you. Terry just wanted to just text me.